8 years ago, the world stopped. Literally stopped. Over 2 billion people watched a prince marry an American actress in one of the most photographed moments of the 21st century. Oprah Winfrey was in the pews. George and Amal Clooney were there. Serena Williams, Elton John, Idris Elba, the most powerful names in entertainment, politics, and culture, all gathered in one chapel to celebrate one couple. It was the wedding of the decade, maybe the wedding of the generation. And this year, on their 8th anniversary, silence. No public tributes from the A-list friends who filled those pews. No major joint appearance. No moment that captured the world's attention the way that May afternoon in Windsor did 8 years ago. Tonight we are asking the question that every royal watcher, every celebrity journalist, and every person who watched that wedding is now quietly asking. What happened? Not to the marriage, not to the drama, but to the world that once stood beside them. Because the silence of one anniversary weekend told a story that 8 years of headlines could not. And that story, verified, documented, and impossible to ignore, is what we are covering tonight on Royal Report Daily. Welcome to Royal Report Daily, your #1 destination for real royal news, verified investigations, and the stories the palace doesn't want you to find. I'm your host, and if you are new here, subscribe right now and hit that notification bell, because what we cover on this channel, you will not find anywhere else. Every single week, we go deeper, we go further, and we go to places the mainstream media is too afraid to touch. Tonight is one of those nights. Let's get into it. To understand what this anniversary silence means, you have to go back to May 19th, 2018. St. George's Chapel, Windsor Castle. It was not just a royal wedding. It was a cultural moment. The guest list read like a who's who of global influence. Oprah Winfrey, one of the most powerful women in media history, sat in the chapel and openly wept during the ceremony. And those images went around the world. George and Amal Clooney, whose presence at any event is a statement of prestige, were there. Serena Williams, the greatest tennis player of her generation and one of Meghan's closest friends, was there. Elton John performed at the reception. James Corden was there. Idris Elba DJ'd. The sermon was delivered by Bishop Michael Curry, whose passionate, electric address became one of the most talked about moments of the entire year. The world was not just watching a wedding. The world was watching what felt like a new chapter in royal history. A biracial American woman entering the British monarchy. A prince who had spent his life in grief finally finding what looked like joy. The hope in that chapel was real. The celebration was genuine. The guest list was a declaration that this couple had the support of the most influential people on earth. That was 8 years ago. And the question tonight is simple. Where did all of those people go? If you want the full picture of what has shifted in 8 years, subscribe to Royal Report Daily right now. Because what comes next explains everything. In 2024 and into 2025, Meghan launched her lifestyle brand American Riviera Orchard, later rebranded as Ever. The concept was clear, a premium California lifestyle brand built around Meghan's personal aesthetic. Home goods, food products, honey, jam, a carefully curated image of warmth, elegance, and aspiration. The brand received significant media attention at launch. Meghan's social media following grew. There was genuine curiosity from the public about what she was building. But the challenge that emerged was one that any brand strategist would recognize immediately. Meghan is trying to occupy two very different spaces at the same time. On one hand, she appears at events with global leaders, speaks at the World Health Organization, positions herself as a serious voice on international issues. On the other hand, she is selling honey and candles under a lifestyle brand. Both of those things are legitimate, but they speak to completely different audiences with completely different expectations. A world leader does not sell jam. An influencer does not address the who. When you try to be both simultaneously, the audience gets confused, and confused audiences disengage. That identity tension between global stateswoman and lifestyle entrepreneur is the central challenge facing the Sussex brand right now. It is not a scandal. It is not a conspiracy. It is a very human, very common branding problem that happens when ambition outpaces strategy, and it is visible in the data. Public engagement with Sussex content has been inconsistent, with some international appearances generating significantly less traction than the couple's peak years of 2020 and 2021. Now let's talk about what is observable and documented. On Harry and Meghan's 8th wedding anniversary, The major celebrity names who attended their wedding did not make public tributes. Oprah Winfrey, nothing. Serena Williams, nothing. The Clooneys, nothing. Elton John, nothing. Now, there are many possible explanations for this. Celebrities manage their public associations carefully. They may have sent private messages. They may have chosen to respect Harry and Meghan's often stated desire for privacy. They may simply have had other things going on that weekend. We cannot read minds. We cannot know what was said in private. But here's what we can say. 8 years ago, these people showed up publicly and visibly for Harry and Meghan. And in 2026, that public visibility is gone. In the world of celebrity, public association is currency. When someone is at the peak of their cultural power, the A-list gathers around them. When the cultural moment shifts, the gathering becomes quieter. This is not unique to Harry and Meghan. It happens to every public figure. Fame has seasons. What is notable in this case is the speed and the scale of the shift. From the most watched wedding in a generation to a quiet anniversary in 8 years. That is a significant change, and it deserves honest analysis rather than either dismissal or dramatic overstatement. Like this video if this investigation is giving you answers that other channels are too afraid to provide. And subscribe to Royal Report Daily, because the next stage of tonight's story is where it gets truly fascinating. The anniversary silence did not happen in isolation. It came after a series of public moments in 2025 and 2026 that each individually seemed manageable, but together painted a picture of a Sussex operation that is navigating serious challenges. The Australia visit earlier in 2026 was framed by the Sussex team as a major success. But media coverage and public engagement metrics told a more complicated story. The visit generated significant press, but also significant criticism from Australian commentators who questioned the purpose and substance of the trip. Then there was the Geneva moment. Meghan delivered a speech on authentic representation at a high-profile international event. The message was powerful and the delivery was polished. But within the same news cycle, a social media post from the Sussex account drew criticism for appearing to contradict the speech's core message. Whether that contradiction was intentional, accidental, or simply a matter of timing, the result was a PR distraction at exactly the wrong moment. And then there was the photograph with a Finnish politician. Standard vetting, the kind any experienced communications team would perform before approving a photo opportunity, would have flagged that this individual was facing serious public allegations. The photo was taken. The backlash followed. Each of these moments alone is survivable. Every public figure has stumbles. But when you add them together, the brand identity confusion, the inconsistent messaging, the vetting failure, the anniversary silence, a pattern emerges. A pattern of an operation that is moving fast, improvising under pressure, and occasionally paying the price for it. While all of this was unfolding in Montecito, something interesting was happening in London. King Charles had a week that, on paper, should have been embarrassing. During a public engagement, he was targeted by a passing bird, one of those unavoidable, undignified moments that public life occasionally delivers. The moment was captured on camera. It went viral. And Charles handled it with exactly the kind of dry, self-deprecating British humor that has defined his public persona for decades. He kept going. He did not disappear. He did not release a statement. He simply carried on. That image, an elderly king, dealing with an absurd moment, responding with grace and humor, resonated with the public in a way that no amount of strategic content could manufacture. And it was a reminder of something important. The British monarchy's greatest asset has never been glamour. It has been consistency, showing up day after day, whether the occasion is historic or humiliating, and simply doing the work. Meanwhile, the government release of documents relating to Prince Andrew's time as a trade envoy reminded everyone that the palace has its own serious, ongoing legacy problems. The memos revealed that Andrew's appointment bypassed standard security vetting and was driven by personal preference rather than qualification. This is damaging. It is a genuine institutional failure. And Charles has responded to it the only way he can, by continuing to distance Andrew from any active royal role and letting the unglamorous, steady work of the crown speak for itself. Two families, two sets of challenges, two very different responses, and the contrast between them is telling. Do not go anywhere. Subscribe to Royal Report Daily and turn on notifications, because the final part of tonight's investigation is the one that answers the real question. Is there a path back for Harry and Meghan? Reports have circulated in 2026 suggesting that Harry and Meghan may be considering a vow renewal ceremony. The narrative attached to these reports is that they feel their original wedding, while beautiful, was constrained by royal protocol and institutional pressure. That they want a ceremony that truly reflects who they are today, on their own terms, in their own way. As a concept, this is understandable. Many couples renew their vows. It is a meaningful gesture. But for Harry and Meghan, the logistics of a vow renewal carry a weight that goes far beyond the personal. A wedding is a community event. Its power comes from the people who gather to witness it. The 2018 wedding derived enormous cultural energy from that extraordinary guest list. A 2026 vow renewal would be measured against that benchmark, whether Harry and Meghan want it to be or not. And the question that nobody in the Sussex operation has publicly answered is this: if Oprah, the Clooneys, and Serena Williams did not post a single word on the 8th anniversary, would they show up in person for a vow renewal? That is not a rhetorical attack. It is a genuine strategic question. Because if the answer is no, if the ceremony takes place and the celebrity community stays home, the optics would tell a story that no amount of beautiful photography could undo. It would transform what was meant to be a celebration into a very public demonstration of how the social landscape has shifted. The vow renewal idea may be genuine and romantic, but in the current climate, it carries enormous risk. And risk management has not been the Sussex operation's strongest suit lately. Here is the honest, balanced truth about where Harry and Meghan stand after 8 years. They are not finished. They are not destroyed. They are not the catastrophic failure that some commentators want them to be. They are a couple navigating an extraordinarily difficult situation with imperfect tools and enormous public scrutiny. What they built after leaving the royal family was genuinely unprecedented. No royal had ever done what they did. There was no roadmap, no one to call for advice, no institution to catch them when they stumbled. They had to figure it out in public, in real time, under a microscope, while also raising 2 young children and managing the emotional weight of Harry's complicated relationship with his family. That is hard. Genuinely, seriously hard. And there have been real achievements. The Invictus Games continues to grow and genuinely transforms lives. Harry's mental health advocacy has reached millions of people. Meghan's work on humanitarian issues has been substantive in ways that the celebrity press rarely covers fairly. But the brand has also made real mistakes. The identity confusion between global leadership and lifestyle entrepreneurship is real. The inconsistent messaging is real. The cooling of the A-list circle is observable and real. And after 8 years, the question is not whether they have failed. The question is whether they can find the clarity, the singular, focused, authentic identity that turns everything they have built into something lasting. Because right now, they are at a crossroads. The bombshells have been dropped. The story has been told. The Netflix documentaries, the memoir, the Oprah interview, all of that is done. What comes next has to be built on something new. Something that is not about the palace they left. Something that is entirely, unapologetically about the people they are becoming. Whether they can find that, and whether the world will be watching when they do, is the question that 8 years of history has delivered to their door. 8 years. Think about what 8 years means. 8 years of being the most scrutinized couple on earth. 8 years of every outfit, every word, every decision being picked apart by millions of people with opinions and keyboards. 8 years of carrying the weight of a family rupture that was never fully healed. 8 years of building something new from scratch in a foreign country, without a safety net. Most people would have collapsed under that pressure. Most people would have gone quiet, gone home, given up. Harry and Meghan have not done that. Whatever you think of their choices, whatever you think of their strategy, whatever you think of the brand, you cannot deny the resilience, the stubbornness, the refusal to disappear quietly. There is something in that refusal that is worth acknowledging. Because the easiest thing, 8 years ago, would have been for Harry to stay, to accept the constraints of royal life, to be silent and ceremonial and safe. He chose something harder. He chose uncertainty. He chose California and chaos and criticism. He chose to fight for his wife, for his children, for a version of himself that the palace had never allowed him to be. Whether that choice was worth it, whether the anniversary silence and the brand struggles and the distance from his family represent a price too high, only Harry can answer that. But tonight, on 8 years of marriage, that question hangs in the California air, unanswered, unresolved, and more relevant than ever. This is Royal Report Daily, and we will be here, honest, fair, and unafraid, every step of the way. That is all for tonight's investigation on Royal Report Daily. If this video made you think, made you feel, or made you see this story differently, hit that like button right now. It takes 1 second, and it means everything to this channel. Subscribe if you have not already, and turn on notifications, because we post new investigations every week and you do not want to miss what is coming next. Share this video with one person who follows the royal story, because the more people who know the real truth, the better. I'm your host. This has been Royal Report Daily. Stay informed, stay royal, and I will see you in the next one. 8 years, 1 anniversary, 0 phone calls from the A-list. Subscribe to Royal Report Daily and find out what happens next.